Still to this, y'all, so bear with me. So, like I was saying, for your apparel printing needs, you can contact Circle City Inc. That phone number is 317-318-8404. You can also email them, print@circlecityinc.com. Check them out on social media, Circle City. All right, so I'm about to share my screen. Today, what we're going to get into is um, a pretty simple thing that I do all the time, which is clean up bitmap graphic, transferring it into a vector graphic so that I can be able to print it. So by bitmap graphic, I mean it's a pixelized graphic, like a graphic that you would get off of the internet, off of your cell phone, off of a screenshot. It's not a drawn image with a defined line. It's made up of pixels. So when I zoom in, as you can see, there are fuzzy boundaries where the colors meet and fuzzy boundary around the color that fades into the white. So there's no defined shape or defined line that is making this shape. It's more of the illusion using pixels. The pixels will be these gradients of squares that change from darker gray on the left side all the way to white on the right side. So as you see, if I back up, it's giving the illusion of the shape that I'm trying to portray or the image that I'm portraying. The reason that this is done is for space. So in order to print it and have the graphic come out clean and crisp, it's more beneficial to turn it into a vector image. I can print this bitmap, but as you see, as I blur in and lose effect, however big I print it, that's exactly what I'm going to see when I print it. So to get a sharp and crisp image, I need to turn this into a vector. So I'm going to be using a couple tools to do this. I'm using Corel Draw 2025. That's the art program that I use. It's sort of like Adobe, but it has a little bit more extra tools for fine tuning that I use. I would say that cleaning up vector images and turning them into vectors is probably one of my niches. I do this a lot. This right here is a simple graphic. My first step will be to analyze the graphic and see what my angle is going to be, what tools and what succession I'm going to need to go in to get this job done. Um, the circle city over to the right, I mean to the left, it's pretty much it's just fine. It's got this image overlaying on top of it, but I'm really just gonna concentrate on tracing this image because it's abstract, something that I would have to draw. Um, these words I can make a rectangle and build this font, and I'll do that first, and then we'll go back and trace the bitmap. I'm also going to do the I, N, and the K because they're all simple as well. Some people use like what the font or different font finders and will take this bitmap and drop it into the font finder and try to match the font the best you can. Me, when I'm doing other people's logos, I use the exact font that they use, and a lot of times you're not going to find that exact font because if a graphic artist did it, they would have made some alterations to the original font that they use. So for that reason, I've gotten to the practice of just drawing the words over, unless it's like paragraphs or something. And also, it's good practice. I'm using the rectangle tool to make to create the letters for this font. Um, I can visually see that a lot of these words are going to be made of the same shapes, which is a rectangle. So I just get started on placing all of my rectangles. And I'm doing this art in real time. So any mistakes that I come across, anytime I have to um, go back or unedit something, it's because nothing's perfect. We all make mistakes. So just give you guys opportunity to see live action of what it's like to work on the art. So this rectangle, I'm going to convert it to curve so that I can manipulate it more and add nodes. The nodes are these small dots that I'm putting on these line segments that are allowing me to adjust it and change the shape. I double click to add a node. I can also double click to take away a node. So I'm going to put a node on the point that I want to change the angle of that line. use this node and drag it over. I know in some of my sped up videos, it's probably hard to see exactly what I'm doing. So I purposely wanted to do some videos showing the actual time it takes to do some of this stuff, just to give you an idea. You're gonna do thousands of clicks for sure. Okay, so I have the ink done. All right, before I do that, so this image is going to keep moving when I put my mouse on it. I'm going to hit Control Z to put it back where it was, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to lock this image. What that did is now when I select my mouse on it, it doesn't move. It's locked in like it is the back of the page. It just became the background. That allows me to manipulate things on top and grab them without touching, without moving my original piece. So these shapes are building the word ink or have built the word ink. But as you see, these are different shapes that I put together. I need to make them one. One of my favorite tools is the weld tool. I'm going to show you how to do it. I collect the first shape that I need. I hold shift. I collect the second shape. And as you see at the top, I have these options that have now popped up that were not there before I selected two shapes at the same time. The first one is called weld. Just like welding in real life, it just welds the shapes together. I click that and now you see I have a complete end. I'm going to fill it so you can see. Same thing with the K. I have the shape on the right. I'm going to click the shape on the left. I have them both. Weld them together. Now I have one complete K. The eye doesn't need to be welded to anything because it's by itself an eye, but I will weld all three of these together to make one word. So as you also see, I could do that in layers. I could do individual shapes, and then I can add them all together to make one shape using welding. All right. I'm going to take the outline off of that. I'm going to leave it blue for now, just so I know that I did it. Sometimes I do that color differentiation between the original art, so I know that that's this part of the art that I've completed, and then I go on to the next step. So now I'm about to redraw a circle. It's kind of a visual eye test between how close you want to get. Sometimes I do right outside the blurriness, depending on the sharpness of the art, what I'm able to see, and what I know the image is supposed to be. Sometimes the blurriness can be like excess outline that you don't need, that I don't need to trace over. And so I will come in a little bit and more concentrate on where the black is. I'm also working on my terminology. I don't want to sound too geeked out and technical so that you can't, follow with me. Okay, I'm going to use this L to make this E. So what you just saw me do, let me delete that and go back again. So I'm going to hit Control C to copy this, Control V to paste it. The mouse blinked. You might not have saw it, but the mouse blinked. So now there are two L's sitting on top of each other. While clicking down the left mouse button and holding Shift, I'm going to drag this L over. Holding Shift allows me to proportionally drag a shape over, keeping it on the grid. If I don't hold Shift, for example, I can move the shape around freely, like I'm doing the L in a circle. I'm going to put it back. If I hold Shift, I can only slide the L over left and right on a straight line, or up and down on a straight line. So it's like it snaps it to a grid, which makes it very convenient for having the bottom of this completely straight and knowing that everything is lined up. I'm going to keep using this L to make this E. So I'm going to copy and paste it again. I'm going to flip it using the mirror tool. Extend it out to the end. Go back. I'm going to weld these together first, so I can extend both ends at the same time. Now they're even. This middle is not going to stick out as much. I'm going to bring these nodes in some, and I'm selecting multiple nodes, and I'm using the arrows on my mouse key to go left to right. I want this section, just this top portion of this E right here, so that I can make this middle of this E. So everywhere there's a node, I can select and copy. So I'm going to make a square around these 4 nodes. I'm going to hit copy and paste, and it's going to give me just that section that I selected. I'm going to hit shift and drag it down. And then make my adjustments using the arrow keys after I select the individual nodes. Now, this is not a complete shape, and because it's not a complete shape, I cannot close it. I cannot color it, nor can I weld it. You cannot weld open shapes. It has to be a closed shape. By open shape, I mean that, let me move this over. There are 3 sides to what should be a rectangle. This rectangle is not closed. So I'm going to click this on the right and show you. Over to the right, here are my colors. If I click a color, gray, blue, green, yellow, nothing's happening. All right? I'm going to double click this so I can see my nodes. If I drag this node down to this node and put them on top of each other, it closes the shape. Now the color that I was trying to put in last has appeared, the yellow. Not only is that one way to know if your shape is open, that's another way to ensure that you'll be able to weld an object after you build it with shapes. So let me put it back over here, double click that again, and I'm going to show you another way to close this shape. This option at the top, close curve, will connect these 2 nodes that are in the shape of triangles. The ones that are in the shape of squares are inside of this shape, so they will not connect. Close node, 2 triangles connected. Now I have color. I'm going to weld this all together, and now the E is complete. So far I have the E and the L and the I. We're getting there. While I'm on this I, let me go ahead and do the big I, because it's going to be easy. I hold shift down to stretch it in proportion, and then I make minor adjustments afterwards. Shift does a lot. Control does a lot. And when you use the combinations of shift and control with other actions, they call them quick keys. Quick keys speed up the process of when you're doing art, saves you time and clicks. So here we go again with the rectangle. I'll bring that in just a little bit. I recycle this rectangle, copy and paste it, bring it over. Yep. I'm going to convert this to curves, which is going to give me the ability to add nodes so I can manipulate the shape more. Had I not converted to curves, it would have stayed a rectangle, and I would not be able to take one node and drag it down, changing it into another shape. So there are also steps or sequences that you must take in this program to do certain actions. It can seem confusing in the beginning, but like anything, repetition will give you more understanding. But everything has order to it. Everything does. So I'm kind of using my imagination to fill out the Y. Of course, I'm familiar with alphabets, so it's not that hard. I could look at my angle going up and down vertically and match it with this slanted down angle of a Y to kind of see in my head where they meet. Then they're straight lines, so you can't mess up. I'm going to use a square to draw it on the joints of these lines. See how I'm doing? I'm using this like a ruler or a level to make sure that these angles are even. I see that these are even, meaning that the Y turns up and makes an angle, or this obtuse angle, at the same point. So right here, the Y curves at the same point on each side. That's why I made that rectangle. I zoom out. I need to make another adjustment at the top of this Y here on the right. I'm not really too worried about how the top of the Y ends. The Y ends. Because I know that I'm going to cover up with this orange, as I can see in the art, but I'm still going to, extend that whole shape, and I'll show you why later. So the Y and the T were stuck together, basically. So I did them as one letter. I'm going to weld this together, put some yellow on it so you can see that I've done it. And now we're going to do the last two letters, which are my curved letters, which is why I save them. So when I do fonts, usually I do the easiest ones first, which is why I started with the I. Also, I can use the I to make the other shapes, as you can see. I have to do that over. I was not holding shift, so when I moved that rectangle over, it wasn't lining up. I'm gonna use another rectangle. Now just make this one smaller. Add another one to the top, to the middle. Kind of see where this is going. Hold down shift and then do one last one for this portion. So what I'm doing pretty much now in this R, I'm getting all the straight lines that I can into the shape, filling up the most space using rectangles, and then I'm going to go back and build the curves and fill it in. If I build the curves, that just means I'm going to take a straight line and curve it and enclose the space in between where these rectangles are. And then I'm going to use a fill tool to fill that in, weld them all together. The Bezier tool is good for that. It also lets me know where I'm at on the page. For example, if I put it in front of this node, it says node, so I know that I'm on the end. So I can put it on this node, it says node, I know I'm on the end. I click it in the middle, double click it. I'm going to turn this to a curve so I can manipulate it. And that makes the edge for that R. I'm going to copy and paste this, see if I can use it over. I have to make some minor adjustments because it's not the exact shape. Copy and paste again. I'm gonna hold control to flip this. Holding control allows me to flip the shape upside down without changing the axis that it's flipping from. So the axis of that would be this node right here that I'm circling. And when I flipped it, it kept it in the same spot. So these are joined, kind of like a V now. See, I have this middle space right here. I'm just going to freehand that. Put a small arc right there. And clean up my nodes, delete the ones in the middle. And now you see that's a smooth line. Now for the other side, I'm going to still use the same arch, recycle it again. As you see, it's just basically it becomes a lot of clicking and a lot of repetitiveness. I'm going to bring that in just a little bit. I'm using the arrows to adjust the angle of the arc. Hit control, flip this, move it up a little bit. Okay. Now the fill tool. Over to the left, I have all of my tools. One of my favorite tools is where this paint bucket is. Underneath the interactive fill tool is a smart fill tool. Smart fill is going to fill any space where there are lines or line segments. So for example, I can fill this square and it's going to fill this entire square because the borders of the square are 4 lines. And what we did was we used a line to make an enclosed shape on this curve. So I should be able to fill it in, and now you have that shape. When you hit the fill tool and it does this here, what it did was it filled to the border of the bitmap that I have in the background, because these line segments do not enclose the shape, so something's not touching. So I'm going to hit Control Z and go back. So as I see this line's kind of on the edge, I'm probably going to have to move it over and move this line up just a little bit. Now I know that this is enclosed. Actually, this is the line. You see this line is not touching. It's not going past this rectangle, so this is technically open. When I draw this down, anywhere past this rectangle, it closed this shape. So let's try that again with the fill tool. There you go. All right. Weld these together. I have R. I missed a little joint here, so I'm going to smart fill that. Same mistake. So I'm going to zoom in. Make this a little bigger. So now I know that I've made those boundaries where I have an enclosed shape there. And I'm going to weld it. Okay. Over to the right, I have my colors. I'm going to take the color out of this R so I can see the shape behind it. This is extra, the yellow block is extra, so I'm going to delete it. I'm going to turn my outline light blue just so I can see better. Cleaning up all the trash that I left from when I made the R. And also cleaning up any shapes that are incorrect, any flaws. The reason I delete nodes when there's 1 or 2 of them together, the less nodes, the more smoothness, and that's something to remember. So like how these 2 nodes are here on the bottom and they're right next to each other, if I zoom in, I can see that they make a little blocky kind of effect, which was a little glitchy. I want that smooth. So I can select both of these. If I have a node at the top and a node under it, it's going to maintain the shape in between these 2 nodes. So if I delete these 2, it's going to slightly curve, but I want it to stay a straight line. So I'm going to add 1 node right above it. So now when I delete this node, it's going to connect the line from this node to that node. I delete the 2, and it gave me a smoother line. It did make it slightly slanted, so I'm going to move it over a little bit. I can then go back and make this a straight line. There you are. So a little cleanup job I'm about to do on the R. Just making minor adjustments. I used the rectangle to draw it, but it was not perfect. So I used the blue outline so I can see on top of the black and make my adjustments. Deleting a couple nodes to make it smooth, like you have that little kind of dip right here. So I'll delete that node after adding 2 nodes around it to make that a smooth curve. Okay. Same with this. How these nodes are choppy right here, you don't need 3 there. So I'm gonna put a point here, I'll put a point at the bottom, and I'll take those nodes out, and it made it a smoother curve. You see how that's open? Same thing. You have 2 nodes right here in the same spot. So they're making an odd shape, and it's affecting the outline. So I put a node here, I put a node there, put a node there, and I delete that, and it makes for a smoother curve. I can also fine tune these angles so I can get that little extra turn out that it added when I deleted that node, because there's also always going to be some minor movement in your graphic whenever you delete something, but that's what I like about this. The adjustments are so minor that you can get very exact with any shape that you're trying to make. See these 2 nodes? I just don't need them, so I delete them. The shape didn't really change much, but it's just easier to manipulate with less nodes, and it gives you an overall sharper image. Footnote also, if I chose to cut this design, the less nodes, the easier to cut, the smoother to cut. Okay, so I think I did the more difficult one first, which is good. I knocked out that R. Saving my work. Um, Something I should have did a while ago. I'm going to title this Circle City Printing. Take off caps. Then I can spell Circle City Ink. So I'm going to save that. Turn my R yellow. One more letter to go. I'm going to still recycle this rectangle. Let's see. Slide it over here. Make it see-through. Make it blue outline so I can kind of see what I'm doing. And actually, the first couple letters I didn't have no fill with the blue outline. I think I kind of just got caught up into explaining everything to you, but I usually do it like this with the blue outline in the get-go. Actually, let me be more exact. I usually change my outline to a hairline, so it's very small. The smallest outline you can have. So when it's the smallest outline you can have, it's really way more easy to manipulate because the outline can get bulky and it changes the way you look at things and it makes it harder to adjust the shapes. That's why I can explain that. So yeah, keep my rectangles. We got a couple arches here. And draw them in. Don't gotta be perfect because after I make the actual shape, I can also always do like I did with the R, go back and adjust it. When I'm adding these arches though, I'm making sure that I hold down Shift. I'm gonna copy and paste this. The reason I'm holding down Shift is so I know that I'm putting the object in the same spot on the grid so that they're lined up. I'm not using my eyes visual to see if something's the same height. For example, I'm about to move both of these down a little bit. So I select both of them and I hold shift. So when I move them both at the exact same time and they don't lose their spacing. Just for evenness, symmetrically. Symmetrical. Kind of cheat on this curve. Yeah, make a straight line. Use the angle. I'm making sure that my line is under this blue line. The reason I'm doing that is so when I use the fill tool, I know that I have an enclosed shape. I forgot to copy that one, so I have to go back and put it back on this side. So now I'm going to select both of these at the top. I'm going to copy and paste that. I'm holding control so I can flip it upside down. Then I'm going to hold shift and drag it to the bottom of the C. Go to my fill tool, smart fill. Oh, that's wrong. Okay, I got to bring this up some. The reason I have to bring this up some, it's not underneath that outline. I'm going to delete that one so it will be exactly like this one. I'm going to copy and paste it. Hold control, flip it, hold shift, slide it over. Try this again. Get my smart tool. There we go. And as you see, I have built a C. I did not do that angle in there. Copy and paste that. Hold control, flip it, hold shift, slide it over. And I need to move this down just a little bit to extend that. Smart fill tool, fill it in. Now I'm going to weld my shapes together. I have a C. All right. All this crap in the background, I need to select and delete. When I drag this square over, it's going to select everything that's in that area. I did not drag it over the entire C. If I did and I deleted it, I would delete the C as well. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back, put the C back. So I'm going to drag over everything except for the C so I can delete everything behind that. So I drag from the top, there's nothing behind it. Drag from the bottom, get a couple shapes. Now I can move this out the way, see that there's nothing behind it, hit Control C and go back. I'm going to clean up my C by adjusting some nodes, making some minor changes. Using the arrow tool to make my adjustments. To move the node over ever so slightly. Okay. So I kind of got what I want now with the C. I'm going to show you another way to smooth things out. So I could delete the nodes or I could select the smooth tool and I could double click on my shape and it will smooth it for me, deleting nodes for me. If I just keep hitting this button and clicking it rapidly, it will change the line, but it also deletes nodes and smooths the overall image. Overdoing it can really hurt the art. Using it a little bit is kind of like a little bit of mascara. It reduces the nose, just knocks out that little extra hassle. So Sometimes when it's a shape, like how this one was, where I had multiple spots that I have to clean up, I'll kind of do a pre-cleanup like this. That way it makes it easier and it's less time for me to make my minor adjustments. I moved that by mistake, so I'm put it back. I'm going to take the fill out. I'm going to change the outline to blue, put the blue on the smallest outline so I can see the black behind it. And then I'm going to make my adjustments. Put a node here on each end because I want this to be a straight line. C's can be tricky. Persistence. This over. All right. Return that yellow so we can see that we finished it. Copy and paste it. Hold shift, slide it over so the bottoms are aligned. Use the arrow tool to get it exactly on top of that C. Copy and paste it. Hold shift, drag it down. Hold shift to stretch the C out proportionally in all directions. Then I'm kind of just sit it on there, hold shift, stretch it again. Use my arrow keys to line it up. And I make minor adjustments. So I'm gonna turn it see-through for a minute. Adjusting my nodes, selecting just the ones I want, moving them up and down with the arrow key. So I'm making this C just a little bit shorter in both directions so that it matches up directly over the other C. Turn it yellow so I can see what I got. So far we have Circle City and the ink done. I'm gonna select each letter individually and weld it together. So now this is one word, and city is one word. After I do that, I weld them both together. So there you have Circle City. Take the outline off because there is no outline on this. All right, and now we have the ink splat, right? So there's two ways I could do this. I could freehand it, which is take this and draw around it. Use tools at the end to clean up my shape. That is what I prefer. But currently my pen is broken. I use a pen when I draw on my tablet. My pen is broken. I can draw with the mouse, but it's like you have to hold your hand steady and something bumps your elbow. You need a really good mouse pad, blah, blah, blah. So until my pen gets here, I'm going to use another quick way I use a drawing, which is excellent for basic shapes like this. It's called Quick Trace. This image is locked, so to unlock it, I must right click it and unlock it. Now that I unlocked it, I can manipulate it. I'm going to copy and paste it, and I'm going to hold shift and slide this over so that they're at the same height, and that I can just slide it back holding shift, and they'll be exactly on top of each other because it's still on the grid. The reason why I didn't use my original to make the changes that I'm about to make is because I want to keep that, so after I make the ink splatter, I can line it back up with the Circle City ink font. And I do that a lot. I make 2, 3 copies of something. Also for mistakes, I can go back and still have something to work on. I didn't alter the original so much. Um, I didn't alter the original and then not have an original to refer to or to go back to make a different alteration or to go another avenue. Okay, so I'm going to select my erase tool, and I'm going to erase whatever I can get rid of that's going to make the tracing process easier, and you'll see why in a second. So I got my eraser. My eraser's pretty small. I'm going to put it on 3 and hit enter to make it bigger. I like to erase real big in the beginning. Then I'll hit like a 0.5 and then go in there and get in between spots. I'm doing that for time. Then I hit the 0.3 and then really get in there. Smaller the number, smaller the eraser, the smaller details you can get in here in effect. But you see the eraser's not, exact. I'm just doing that to get some of the not needed parts of the image out so I can quick trace it, and you'll see now why. I'm going to go to convert to bitmap. To convert this to bitmap, um, which is already a bitmap, it just made the file smaller. Making the file smaller makes it easier to trace, less space and time on your computer. Okay, I traced the image. Let me delete that and go back. I'm sorry I did that fast. So I'm going to click on the bitmap. I go to bitmaps, and then I go to quick trace. When I select quick trace, the computer is going to retrace this object as if I redrew it to the best of its ability. So I will have to clean it up some. And that's why taking the Circle City out is beneficial. Okay, so the trace is the image on top. I'm going to hold shift and slide it over, and you can see. This is the original that I used, the bitmap. This is the trace that I just made. If I zoom in, I can see that it took the bitmap and it changed it into vector art. It's no longer pixelated. But because it was pixelated, there are no defined colors around the borders, so it could be 2 or 3 colors before it fades into the white. Okay, I'm going to right click this and hit ungroup all, which breaks down this entire shape and it's not one image anymore. So the white, my background. I don't need any of these little pieces of letter anymore. I'm going to turn this white because in the image, the white shows through. The original image, the white shows through. So all these will be white. What I'm about to do is turn all the color black, and I'm about to retrace it again. Doing this is going to give you a better trace and more defined shape. And I'll show you in a minute. All this ink, I don't need this. I don't need ink because I already did the word ink. So I'm going to turn all this black. I'm going to turn everything around it black. Whole image. Everything is going to be black except for the where the white shows through on the original art. I know it looks sketchy. I'm just going to turn it black anyway. It's a process. I don't need this small outline, So I'm going to delete it. And yes, the ink stain looks a little bit more like an ink stain now. I'm going to select all of this and I'm going to convert it to a bitmap. The reason I converted to a bitmap again is so now I have one black solid image that's going to be way easier to trace than a gradients of different fades, which is why it gave me those different colors when I traced it. So, quick trace, trace it again. And as you see, until I get to a certain level, I'm going to hold on to every step that I make. So if I make a mistake, I can go back to the original step and I don't have to redo too much. Let me say that when I'm talking about redoing things. I can always go back at the end of the art and delete all my, work, all my crap. All right. So now that I have this one on the end, it's the cleanest trace that I feel like I have. I'm going to take it and slide it over the original piece of art. You see how I like locked on there? I can't see the original art. You know what I'm saying? Because it's almost the exact shape, but I need to make it a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to take the fill out of it and I'm going to add the blue outline. I'm going to make it the smallest outline I can get, which is a hairline. All right. So as you see, when I zoom in, there are some imperfections in this art, but it's okay because I have the smooth tool. I'm going to make my smooth tool bigger, put it on maybe 5, way too big. I'm going to put it on 1. There you go, that's way more manageable. And now I can double click these lines and smooth them out. Might be a little hard to see, but the lines are going from rough to smooth just by me, doing 3-4 clicks over the area of the line. It's affecting the nodes, taking out any extra nodes I need, smoothing, connecting nodes together, smoothing the line of the connecting nodes together, which makes for just a way cleaner image, and it's also way easier to navigate than manipulating any individual node. Yeah, so it's kind of like a quick fix, or a quick aid. It's one of this and the trace, which I just showed you, is definitely one of the reasons, one of the various reasons, two of the various reasons that I use Corel Draw. It saves so much time and it makes doing art so much easier. Okay, so roughly cleaned it up. Now I'm going to double click. Sorry, now I'm going to double click, take the layer off. Oh, I need to ungroup this. I ungrouped all, and that's why I couldn't manipulate it. Yeah, so like I said, we're doing this in real time, so you get to see what kind of things you'll run into, and sometimes that's honestly something I might forget, is that you have to do things in order in this program. So before you can trace something, there must be a bitmap. Um, Before you can add certain colors or certain effects, it must be a bitmap. There are certain things that you can do to a vector that you can't do to a bitmap. So sometimes you have to convert something to a bitmap, do your thing, convert it back to a vector, and vice versa. Sometimes you have to convert something to a vector, do your thing, and turn it back to a bitmap. Um, just as I do vector graphics, where I change bitmaps to vectors, I also will create bitmap graphics. So depending on why you need the art is what type of file it'll be, what type of format you can put it in, et cetera, et cetera. So just clean up these little bubbles. Nothing fancy. Get exact as possible. getting it clean. And if I had to guess, if I was working without talking, this would probably take me honestly about 15-20 minutes. I don't know how long we've been here, but it feels like maybe 45. But hopefully the extra information, the over information will help you a little bit, especially if you're using Corel Draw. I've only met actually like 2 or 3 people that use this program in my entire ventures as a graphic artist, and I've been doing this since I was 12. Most people I've met use Adobe, and that's not disappointing. I'm just, I mean, it's an observation. So, me figuring out this program and you know struggling with it, I feel like has been a very unique experience because it's not a whole hell of a lot of support as far as tutorials and you know, and if there is, put me on something. Got this little crescent moon looking shape. That's a lot of crap. I'm just gonna delete all this. Sometimes it's just extra trash. And if you notice the right side of this traced cleaner, I believe, I know that it was because the words were on the left side, and those black words being pixelated blurs the boundaries between where the color stops and ends, so it makes for a rougher trace on that side of the image. So we're doing more cleanup on this side because that's where the little particles of black were. All right. So now we got the ink, or the ink splatter. So what I'm going to do is make sure Circle City is in the front of this art. So I'm going to click it, go to order, go to front of page. So now Circle City is in front. I'm going to hit Alt to click everything all the way to the back of the page, which is the original art. I'm going to copy and paste it again and move it over so now I can see in color. All right. So actually, Circle City is not on top. So I'm going to put it to the back of the page. And I'm going to do my thing with the smart fill. Like I said, smart fill is going to get anywhere that there. Oh, I missed something. It's not time yet. Gotta clean that up. Okay, now I'm going to use my smart fill. Anywhere there's a boundary, smart fill is going to fill in. So it's going to fill in until it touches the yellow. Everywhere there's yellow is going to fill in until it touches the borders. So I'll have to do this whole inside to make that one shape. I could have done it before I overlapped it over each other, but I didn't. So I'm showing you what I would have to deal with regardless, which happens all the time in some pieces. So it's good to show you this little part right here. I don't know what's up at the bottom, why we lost that, but we're about to go find out. So just give me a second. Now I'm welding those together to make it one shape, as you see. Weld these together to make these one shape. Delete that. I missed a piece, so we'll add that. Weld it. I will weld these pieces. Missed a piece. Weld it. Okay. Yes, I made that. And I need this hole at the bottom to be added. So this is not a hole in this object, meaning that if I click here, sorry, if I click here, I should not be able to move the item. There should be nothing behind this. If I right click and drag the mouse around. When I right click and drag this, I can move this and there is no hole. So I need to punch the hole basically into this ink spot. So to do that, I select this, I select what I want to put the hole in, and I put simplify. When I simplify it, where these two overlap, it's going to leave empty space. So now when I move this, there's a hole there. I zoom in, I click on it, there's nothing there. That's what that little square indicates. Because if I click on empty space and I drag, it just makes a guideline square. If there's something there, it moves it. Okay. And that's pretty much it for this. I can delete this now. I can take the outline out. And I can change Circle City to black. I can take this color with my eyedrop tool to get the exact orange I need. The exact colors I need. Actually, there's a fade in here, so let me take all this and weld it together, make it one shape. Take that outline off. Let me move this around. You see, we got the extra crap over here, so we need to delete that. Yes. The reason I do that moving them out the way is so I can see behind it. So sometimes I do that. Like, I'm moving an object out the way just so I can see what's behind it. Make sure that I'm deleting all the little trash. So I move this out the way, make sure it's one item. I should have two objects now. Ink, circle through, and I do. So now I delete all this work, save it. My final step is to add this little fade. So to do that, at the bottom, I go to the paint bucket tool and I'm gonna double click. It's gonna give me my color options. At the top, I can click fountain fill, which is a fade, and it's asking me what color do I want to start with on the left, what color do I want to end up with on the right. I can click this color, tab down, and get the eyedrop tool and match an exact color in the art. So I'm gonna hit OK for that one. Double click this one, tab down, hit the eyedrop tool, and get the orange. Okay. So I took the exact color out of this art, added it to the right side in the fill tool, added the exact color out of the art, added to the left side in the fill tool, give me the fade. So back up, and you have two identical pieces of art now seemingly. But if I zoom in, you'll see that this is a blurry bitmap, and the one that I created is a vector, meaning that I can infinitely scroll in, and it's still a defined straight line, which means that no matter how small or big I print this, it's ready to go. Do something creative today.